All right, for our lesson number 2 for this week, we're going to look at simple probability and its complement. Simple probability is the ratio of an event outcomes to the possible number of outcomes. So what that means is our example here, capital P stands for probability, and then in the parentheses is a certain event that's happening. And so this is out of the alphabet. What's the probability of getting the letter A? Well, how many letter A's are in the alphabet? 1 out of the total possible outcomes. In the alphabet, we have 26 total letters. And so we just write it like a fraction. The probability of getting the letter A would be 1 out of 26. And then its complement is the probability of that event not occurring. So the probability of an event and its complement have a sum of 1. And I'm going to show you what that means. So the probability, and then notice there's a little tiny apostrophe up there. That apostrophe means not. Okay? So the way I would read that is the probability of not getting an A. That's the complement. It's the opposite of the original event. So the probability of not getting the letter A in the whole alphabet. Well, in the alphabet, there's 26 total letters, and 25 of them would not be an A. So I would write that 25 out of 26. And then if I were to add the original event and its complement, they would equal 1. 1 out of 26 plus 25 out of 26 would be 26 out of 26, which is 1. Okay? So probability is pretty simple. And this is simple probability. This is just the event, just one event. So not two things happening. So this is the probability that just one thing is going to occur. So let's do a few more examples. What is the probability of choosing a marble with stripes? So they wrote it like this. P, that stands for probability, and the event is in the parentheses. So the probability of getting stripes. Well, how many of these marbles have stripes? It's a little hard to see, but just this one has stripes. So 1 out of how many total marbles? 5. So I would write that probability 1/5. Probabilities can also be written like a percent, but for this assignment, we're just going to do fractions. And then I have a not. I have a complement. The probability of not getting diamonds. Okay, that little tiny apostrophe up there means not. On your assignment, I actually wrote out the word not. So you're not going to have to watch for that little tiny apostrophe. So let's see. These are the diamond ones. So how many do not have diamonds? 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 5 total options. Okay. Look at this spinner. What is the probability of spinning a W? And then what is the complement of spinning a vowel? So the probability of W is written like that, P parentheses W. So there's only one W on my spinner. 1 out of how many total? And make sure to include the W in the total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my fraction would be 1 out of 7. And then the probability of not, notice that little tiny apostrophe. And again, on your assignment, it'll look like this. Probability of not getting a vowel. I just went ahead and wrote it out for you. And sometimes that's how they do it. So the probability of not getting a vowel. Well, vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So on this spinner, I would just mark out those A's. So how many are not vowels? There's 5. Out of how many total spinner wedges? 7. That's probability. I'm going to do a couple more examples with you. Looking here at a dice, that's a really common example. They'll call it a number cube, but we talked about that on Monday. That's just a dice. What is the probability of rolling? And they put 3 different options. What's the probability of rolling a 6? Well, there's only 1 6 on a dice. And how many total sides on a dice? 6. So 1 out of 6. Probability of rolling a 5? That would be the same because there's only 1 5 out of 6 possible numbers on a dice. The probability of rolling an odd number. Well, odd numbers on a dice would be 1, 3, and 5. So there's 3 odd numbers out of 6. And that can actually be simplified. And so if a fraction can be simplified, we should go ahead and do that. So the probability of rolling an odd number would be a half, which makes sense. Half of the numbers are odd, half of the numbers are even. Okay, let's do number 10. A laundry basket has 24 socks in it. 6 are navy, 10 are black, and the remaining are white. What is the probability of drawing? And then they listed 3 options. Probability of drawing a black sock. Well, how many were black? 10 out of how many total? 24. I can simplify by 2. It's just simplifying a fraction. Normal basic fraction rules there. Probability of getting a white sock. They didn't tell us how many were white. We're going to have to figure that out. So 6 were navy, 10 were black, and it says the rest were white. Well, 10 plus 6 makes 16, and we know there were 24 total. So 24 minus 16 would be 8. So that means 8 are white. So probability of getting a white sock would be 8 out of 24, which simplifies to 1/3 if you divide it by 8 on top, 8 on bottom. So you have a 1/3 chance of drawing a white sock. And then navy. Navy had 6 out of 24, which would simplify to 1/4. And that is probability. Now go back to your Google Slides and you'll find your assignment. Have a good week.